Your mind will become like its habitual thoughts, for the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Again, your mind will become like its habitual thoughts, for the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Soak it then in such trains of thoughts as, for example, where life is possible at all, a right life is possible. What'd you do with Mr. Gorgeous? We got to move him over here. Get him off the tape. A right life is possible. Your time has a limit set to it. Use it then to advance your enlightenment, or it will be gone and never in your power again. This one paragraph, man, you could write novels on this one paragraph. Take it that you have died today and your life story is ended, and henceforth regard what future time you may be given as an uncovenanted surplus, and live it out in harmony with nature. Think of yourself as dead. I read these so much faster in my head, right? You've lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly. Stop talking about what the good man is like and just be one. Be satisfied with the smallest progress. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Every one of these sentences is brilliant, guys. How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it, or LC stuff. When force of circumstance upsets your equanimity, lose no time in recovering your self-control, and do not remain out of tune longer than you can help. Habitual recurrence to the harmony will increase your mastery of it. This one line stuck with me ever since I first read it. Habitual recurrence to the harmony of your nature. Guys, how's it going? Azam Mayo, Ramzakeo, BigRio.com. It's a book review for Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. Remember, we've done now pretty much, I think, as far as real estate investors go, I know we've covered more Stoicism than anybody else. The founding of Stoicism really was Zeno. This was a few hundred years. We talked about the timeline before Seneca. Seneca is basically a billionaire. He was the advisor to Nero, and he died an awful death. I talked about this in his the book review we did on him. But when Seneca died, and Epictetus was about a teenager, and then when Epictetus died, Marcus Aurelius was a teenager. So Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius are really the founding fathers of Stoicism. That's not really true. It was a few hundred years ago, but with Zeno, he was the guy that came up with it. And Stoicism, the ideas behind being a Stoic, these were like the predominant forms of thought and philosophy and belief systems before Constantine brought around Christianity for the Roman Empire. It just gives you an idea, like that was basically what was used as essentially as like a religion, and as a entire form of thinking, morality, virtue, the way that you view yourself. And one of the reasons we've been talking so much about this kind of stuff is because a lot of my work right now, almost all my work, is pretty much a job right now. The closest thing I've ever had to a job is around our special needs superheroes, right? And these are people, I've been around more death than ever before in my entire life. I've seen more people die now, and people quite young, people who've been diagnosed with terminal cancer before they're 10 years old. And these are the ideas that you need to get through that stuff, man. You have to find solace within. You have to find a place you can go to within your head. Azam's one sentence summary, because of course that's what Marcus Aurelius would want, right? A one sentence summary. If you don't know who he is, in Gladiator, he was the guy who Maximus, he's the father of Joaquin Phoenix and Russell Crowe. He's Joaquin's dad, Caesar's dad, the original Caesar. Stoicism, belief system found on virtue, unattachment, anti-materialism, reason, wisdom, inner game, thought control. That's what Stoicism essentially is. Meditations, this book, Meditations, is a collection of notes that Aurelius wrote to himself to help focus. They weren't really meant for publication. He wrote this on the battlefield in times where he was around illness and he was around suffering, people being tortured to death, all kinds of crazy stuff, and he took time to write these notes. This book is a curated group of the best ideas that Aurelius had and learned to live a brave life of Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius had learned to live a life of this book. This is the part I wrote too. This book is a curated group of the best ideas. This is the one sentence summary that Marcus Aurelius had learned to live a brave life of Stoicism. All right. So lesson, don't be an LC about sleep. Get out of bed like a bullet. We talk about this all the time. One of the most important things to do is that you win the day, you win the morning, and really you win as soon as you wake up. You should get out of bed like a bullet. Your life should have that much purpose. This book, Meditations, there's a scene in Hannibal Lecter, Silence of the Lambs, when the last time that Jodie Foster and Anthony Hopkins are on screen together, the last conversation they have, he said, when he tries to tell her how to find Buffalo Bill, he says, read Marcus Aurelius. Ask yourself of any particular thing, what is that thing within itself? What is its nature? Its very nature. This idea of everything has a purpose. The universe wastes nothing. Everything has a purpose. Everything has a meaning. And what you should do more than anything, especially with your life, is find that meaning. Find what you're supposed to do. Focus on that incessantly, and then everything else kind of fades in the background. Don't major in minor things, right? Don't focus on the BS. And really, when you do that, you will get out of bed like a bullet. At dawn, this is a note he wrote to himself. This is a great excerpt to post somewhere. We used to have this up in the room now for, we've had a few people who've gone through this who can read this by heart, this whole thing here. So here we go. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain of? If I'm going to do what I was born for, the things I was brought into the world to do, or is this what I was created for? To huddle under the blankets and stay warm. But it's nice in here. He's like talking to himself. He's talking to his inner LC here. So you were born to feel nice. But it's nicer in here, he says. So were you born to feel nice instead of doing things and experiencing them? Don't you see the plants, the birds, the ants, the spiders, and bees going about their individual tasks, putting the world order, putting the world in order as best they can, and you're not willing to do your job as a human being, why aren't you running to do what your nature demands? Again, the idea of nature. But we have to sleep sometime, he says to himself. Agreed, but nature set a limit on that, as it did on eating and drinking. Don't be a dickhead with that either, right? And you're over the limit. You've had more than enough of that, but not of working. Then you're still below your quota. There, you're still below your quota. You haven't done as much. You don't love yourself enough, or you love your nature too and what it demands of you. People who love what they do wear themselves down by doing it. They even forget to wash or eat. Do you have less respect for your own nature than the engraver does for engraving, the dancer for dance, the miser for money, or the social climber for status? Then when they're really possessed by what they do, they'd rather stop eating and sleeping than give up practicing their arts. That's where you want to be. Is helping others less valuable to you, not worth your effort? This little mantra we've had posted up, this is exactly what he's writing to himself, kind of talking yourself out of this. There's so many things here. This idea of being possessed with what you're doing, practicing your arts, looking at everything. This is the lens that you want to look at your work through. A lot of times people say, well, sometimes stuff sucks and life sucks. Guys, you need to read the stories. Anna's made classes now about some of the challenges that our heroes are going through. None of these people, the worse your life is, the less you'll complain about it. And when you get around people that have like real challenges, real stuff, you realize all your stuff is BS, and you really do need to get out of bed like a bullet. And every day is the greatest day ever. Even if that means, God forbid, you have to bury your kids that day, it is the best day ever. It is the greatest day ever. It is a gift. And the time we have left in the light, you got to maximize it, man. You got to run and do everything you possibly can. Did you guys move Mr. Gorgeous here? I don't know where you put him. I wasn't in control of that. I wasn't doing that. I was over here on this one. All right. So lesson, value change and focus on gratitude for life and the thankful cause. This is one of the most powerful concepts we teach. This idea of the thankful cause. I'll try to move in the direction here. The thankful cause, no matter what happens, you got to say I'm thankful cause. Guys, we have people diagnosed with all kinds of craziness and, I don't even want to, if you're not on a donor list where the time you have to wait is 2 to 3 times longer than the expected lifespan you have left, you have no idea. I mean, there are people that have that, and then what they say, I'm thankful cause. Well, no matter what happens, we call this a thankful cause. No matter what happens, say I'm thankful because, and fill in the blank. Men seek for seclusion in the wilderness, by the seashore or in the mountains, a dream you have cherished too fondly yourself. But such fancies are wholly unworthy of a philosopher, since at any moment you can choose to retire within yourself. Nowhere can man find a quieter, more untroubled retreat than his own soul. Above all, he possesses resources in himself. Remember, Sun Tzu said the greatest resource is resourcefulness, which you need only contemplate to secure immediate ease of mind. The ease that is but another word for a well-ordered spirit. Avail yourself often then of this retirement, and so continually renew yourself. Guys, the most important lesson I've learned is thought control. And it has to be ultimately where the place you go into internally. Nothing determines. For hundreds of years, we thought that what determines someone's psychological state is their past, what happened to them in the past. But we realize now, prospection, William James, the father of American psychology, nothing changes, nothing shapes you more right now where you're sitting than the vision you have for your future, what you think your future is going to be like. This is where it's not about, if things are going great, I'd be happy. First of all, that's not the case. Look at America. We have 80-90% of all antidepressants, right? All like the mental problems, the mental issues. We also are better at diagnosing, but all those things, you find them concentrated with the happiest group of people and the people who should be the happiest, right? It's not the external that's going to make you happy. It's the internal that shapes the external. If you do the opposite, you're looking at a cracked mirror and you're trying to get plastic surgery so that you can look at a cracked mirror and look okay. Don't do that. Get a better mirror. And that mirror is being able to reflect internally. You have to be able to go within yourself. People will say this with like motivated sellers. They'll talk to a couple sellers or realtors and someone will say something that throws them off orbit and they're gone for years. They leave their business because they're looking for validation externally, outside. Don't do that. You got to look at it internally, man. Especially when internally, like the prognosis and everything. Like I said, the reason we've focused so much on this is the reason we're able to get our heroes to do such amazing things is because of this idea. Continually renew yourself by going within with your own thoughts. You should be able to spend a few minutes with your thoughts, a few seconds, fill yourself up like a cup of water, get out of bed like a bullet. Look back over the past with its changing empires that rose and fell, and you can foresee the future too. Everything is ending. We're all just passing through. Is it possible for any useful thing to be accomplished without change? The whole universe has changed, and life itself is, but you deem it. You should banish any thoughts of how you may appear to others. The approval of such men who do not even stand well in their own eyes has no value for him. Most people feel like shit about themselves, and we're worried about their opinions, right? So here's a rule to remember in future. When anything tempts you to feel bitter, don't say this is misfortune, but to bear this worthily is good fortune. Don't think, why is this happening to me? Be thankful. I'm thankful this has happened to me. No matter what it is, I'm thankful because somebody else wouldn't be able to deal with it as well as I am, and I can deal with it in a way that's inspiring and actually encourages other people who have these challenges and challenges much worse. To love only what happens, what was destined, amor fati. No greater harmony. Harmony, this idea of harmony, balance, alignment, having your nature, and guys, this is really the stuff that you've got to be able to come back to. Whatever happens to you is for the good of the world. Oh my gosh. No matter what happens, I'm thankful because I'm able to do it in a way that's good for the world. I haven't said this yet, Anna made a class on this. We have, I believe, the single most successful business owner who has butterfly skin. If you don't know what butterfly butterfly skin is, the American Medical Association calls it the single most painful condition a human being can have. You're being skinned. It's like I liken it. I've seen it now. I never saw it until we met our hero here. When you take out a slice of pizza, what happens to the slices next to it? You know how the cheese kind of spreads and it gets like, you get what I'm saying? Like that look is exactly how your skin looks all over your body constantly. There's no way to stop it. So you have to wrap up. You look like a mummy with the glasses, and usually you've got a hat on as well, because your skin is all of your body is just falling off constantly. It doesn't stay on your skin. This one little enzyme you're missing, and there's no cure for it. There's not even a treatment for it. And we have a hero who's going through this enormous pain, who's going through this constantly being skinned alive all over your body 24/7. There's no break from it unless you get on like a morphine drip, and that doesn't stop it. To go to the bathroom takes him a total of 2 hours, because you have to unwrap and then wrap back up. And when you go to the bathroom, not to be graphic, guys, but all this stuff, your skin stuff starts coming out as well. So when you clean up, you're wiping out skin and blood and all. I mean, guys, imagine that. Every time you go to the bathroom, that's what you're going through, right? What a beautiful hero. What a beautiful person, man. God have mercy on you for ever complaining about anything, man. Go to bigria.com. We have all kinds of other resources and great stories of heroes, people doing amazing things. But my point is that this is someone who's going through more pain than any human being should ever go through. And what does he say? I'm thankful that it's happening to me. This is amazing. It's happening to me. It's spectacular, because what happens to him is for the good of the world. That would be enough right there. Just saying whatever happens to you and making it, if you say that it's for the good of the world, it's going to make you look for resources, ideas. You're going to attract people, ideas, resources, and opportunities and situations that are going to make it for the good of the world, right? In his case, we're able to tell his story and share it with other people. I love this shit, man. I really do. It's like it's like one of the things when you look at like what you were meant for, what you were meant to do. I love this stuff, man. We were just talking about this, it's like this situation. This is one of those situations where if we did nothing else but just this, it would be worth it. All of our work, all of our effort would be worth it. But there's like 20 different people in that same category, 20 different situations, man. This is really good stuff, man. So whatever happens to you is for the good of the world, man. Lesson: everything is connected to the source of love and elevator. Think often of the bond that unites all things in the universe and their dependence on one another. Because a thing is difficult for you, do not therefore suppose it is beyond mortal power. Just because you're not doing it doesn't mean it's not. Don't work in my area. On the contrary, if anything is possible and proper for a man to do, assume that it must fall within your own capacity. So many times, guys, I don't mean to pick on people. I don't do that. I don't at all. But when somebody goes out and makes 50 grand a month or 100 grand a month, we have a heroes that does that. Other people look at him and be like, I'm talking about the LC, will look at him and be like, well, what was his area? What type of deals was he doing? How much experience did they look for reasons to invalidate that. Say, this is why that doesn't apply to me. My area, my business, me, or they find some way where it's either their area, their business, or themselves. There's some difference, right? There's other people that look at that and they say, you know what? He made 100 grand. I'm going to make 100 grand. I'm going to make 200 grand. I'm going to help him make 500 grand. That's the attitude you need to have, right? If it is, on the contrary, if anything is possible and proper for a man to do, assume that it must fall within your own capacity to be able to do it. Everything, a horse, a vine is created for some duty. For what task then were you yourself created? A man's true delight is to do what things he was made for. Remember that hint that Hannibal Lecter gives Clarice is how she catches Buffalo Bill. What is the nature? Everything has a nature. One of the questions we ask ourselves in our profile is, would you say that you're living your purpose? Would you say everything has a purpose? And everyone says yes, most people. And would you say that you are living your purpose? And like 90+% of people say no. And it all has to do with money. That's how you get to 10 to 30 grand a month, buy back your time, and focus on your purpose. It's really cool when you can focus on your purpose and get to that 30 grand a month, right? For what task then were you yourself created? A man's true delight is to do the things he was made for. Take me and cast me where you will. I shall still be the possessor. I shall still be possessor of the divinity within me, serene and content. Again, no matter what happens, don't give a fuck, man. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what happens, because Godspeed, I have that divinity in me. You're not as Rumi said, you're not a drop in the ocean. You're the entire ocean in a drop. And when you can get to that place, when you can realize that anything is possible, that you can, if it can be done, you can do it. It's not just this idea of convincing yourself, I think I can, although that has value too. What I'm talking about specifically and what he's referring to is this idea that once you have your purpose, once you have alignment, things that used to seem nearly impossible, now you're able to do with ease. We assemble our life action by action, step by step. Nobody can stop you from that. For there is a single harmony, right? There's a harmony. There's things you're supposed to do in your life that you know they're correct. You wouldn't be a big Ria if you have this itch. You're just supposed to do something bigger. And this, my highest recommendation is to get to that place where you're doing those things. You're obsessed with the changes you're making in the universe. Take your slice of humanity, improve it, and you'll feel better. You'll feel a better sense of harmony. You won't sleep in. You won't be allowed to. Your purpose won't let you. Just as the world forms a single body compromising all bodies, so fate forms a single purpose compromising all purposes. Let your one delight and refreshment be to pass from one service to the community to another. Move from one unselfish action to another with God ever in mind. Man, guys, I know that for the most part, these book reviews are like, nobody fucking watches them. Like, you guys, less people watch these than anything else I put out. That's okay, because the ones that do, you guys watch watch them again and again. You send us great feedback. I really appreciate it. Love at bigria.com. And also you can text Anna anytime. Please text her, by the way. Don't call her. Please text her. She gets a lot of calls. You can get in touch with us anytime. And I promise you get an answer, you get a response. But the ones, for those of you that are going through these book reviews, I'm taking these ideas. These are the best books, the best ideas from the best books, or whatever book you recommend. I read 2 to 3 books a week. So send in a book review, a book suggestion. I'll read it. I'll do a review on this. I don't just put it in my words. I take the best ideas I think and I put it in their words. So if you go to these book reviews, you should get the benefit of like 80-90% of the book, as if you just read the book. And this idea of stoicism, the ideas of Epictetus, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, these are the ideas. If you get this under control, if you get your thought control up where it needs to be, start going through Hero of Egypt, start going through Rumi, start reading these ideas. These are the best ideas that humanity's been, some of the best ideas that humanity's ever been exposed to. Get them, put them part of your mental diet, and you'll see great things happen in your life. Goodness gracious, go to bigria.com. I love you.